Hello everyone, my name is Arif Rahmanda, and today I will be presenting to you about effective academic writing in computer science. Okay, first of all, here the writing principles that you have to keep in mind is keeping it simple and direct. Keeping it simple and direct means conveying your message in the clearest and most straightforward manner possible. It means simplicity in both language and design to enhance the viewer's understanding and engagement, removing unnecessary elements and distractions, creating a clear and effective writing. For example, here there's a complex one, facilitate the optimization of system performance. Uh, the regular people might not understand this, so we can replace it with improve the system performance. And there's also utilizing an extensive array of methodologies. You can shorten that to use various methods. And then the third one is incorporate an analysis of multifaceted variables. You can just replace it with analyzing multiple factors. So next one, it's abbreviation in academic writing. So abbreviation in academic writing is meant to streamline the complex terminologies to make it more accessible to the reader. But uh, it has to be consistent. So it would be clear to the reader. Here's some guide for it, like defining it first within like the first page. You have to say it. For example, here there's a video graphic adapters, and there's one in VGA in abbreviation. And then after you do define it, you must be consistent with its use. Do not define it once and switch back to the full form back and forth, because it's gonna confuse the reader, or it's gonna make them uh, don't want to read your paper. And then you have to avoid overuse, limiting it to common abbreviation as it can confuse the reader. After that, you have to follow specific guidelines based on the scientific writing style that you choose. So, for example, here there's this common abbreviation. For example, here you can just say EG, and then IE, you can say that is, and others can say et al, abbreviation of comparison with CF. Next one, so you have to use a citation style for your academic writing. In computer science and software engineering, there's no specific citation styles, but it is crucial that you have to choose one that offers comprehensive information. You can always use ACM or IEEE templates for your citation. Always verify with your lecturers first what they prefer or what's the requirement for your paper. Okay, next. Next one is avoiding long dependent clauses. So, what is it? It's an overly complex sentence. It can hinder the readability and comprehension in your academic writing. So, it starts with because, although, since, while, and others. So, it can make your sentence convoluted. You can simplify it for better readability and clarity, and you can use language, concise language, to convey your ideas effectively. For example, here, while it is true that the software, which had been developed over several years, underwent extensive testing, it ultimately failed to meet the specific requirement, which led to delays in projected timelines. So, in here we can see that while it is true that the software, why does it he have to explain a lot, even though it's not really important to the paper that you're writing, unless that paper is it's supposed to be like that. So the improved one says that the software underwent extensive testing over the several years, but it ultimately failed to meet the specific requirement, causing project timeline delays. So this sentence, it's only one idea. It doesn't go into too much detail, which is good. It makes the reader's understanding better. They can comprehend it a lot easier. Okay, next. So the effective use of punctuation, it is a crucial component of the writing. It helps convey meaning and it gives structure to your sentences. It matters because it puts an emphasis on certain points, ensures correct grammars, preventing misunderstandings, and marks such as periods, commas, and semicolons clarify the relationship within these sentences, between the words and ideas within those sentences. So, for example, here there's a sentences in a paragraph that if you read it, just read it like, despite the challenges posed by the tight deadline, which added significant pressures on the research team, there's no stop in it. If you just read it, it's gonna be a bit difficult to read it, and it's gonna be harder to comprehend. And so the next one, it's the fixed one. It's despite the challenges posed by the tight deadline. There's a comma here, which added significant pressure on the research team. There's another comma that stops you from reading further. And then they successfully completed the project of their client. Comma again, demonstrating their exceptional skills and dedication. It's gonna make it a lot easier to understand. So next. So here it's avoiding overloaded sentences. It's like the one from before. Like this. It's like long dependent clauses. If you read again like these overloaded sentences, it's gonna, many people write it like these, they have to put a lot of ideas in one sentence, or too much information in one sentence. It can obscure your message and it will reduce the reader's engagement. It also confuses the readers with your multiple ideas in just one single sentence. So you need to divide those complex ideas, keeping one idea on one sentence and using punctuation as always. So for example here, this overloaded one, it's the study investigated various environmental factors like temperature, humidity, and pollution's impact on urban plant growth, identified resilient species for development, and provided insights for planners and policymakers. It's too long and there's too much information here to process. So you can make it shorter, more compact, and you can just understand it by reading it. This shorter one, it's easier to understand than this overloaded one, because it only says the study explored environmental factors, while the other one you can say it reads off like temperature, humidity, and pollution's impact. That's too much. You can just say environmental factors. It shortens it, makes it easier. It doesn't have to specified unless your research is about specifying it. Yeah, it just makes it easier. So next one, it's keeping it factual. It's a given that any research paper, any writing, it has to be based on fact and evidence. That means you need something to support your claims, credible sources, or you can gather it yourself. So after that, you have to avoid making assumptions, and you have to double check your data for this more accuracy. For example, here there's this sentence. It's it's not it's not taken from official sources or from news reporting sources. And the improved version, it just says from Microsoft 2023 right here. You can see it right there. It explains that you have this source from Microsoft itself. So next one, objectivity in writing. Objectivity means you need to present your information, arguments, or viewpoints in a fair, unbiased, and impartial manner. You need to do this because it will give you credibility in your writing. And by doing this, it means you base your work on facts, and it also respects readers by allowing them to form their own opinion on what you have presented. It also encourages critical thinking and promoting a deeper understanding in these complex topics. Like for example, here there's a subjective. I counted the chickens because there's a subject here. And then the objective one, the chickens were counted. So next. Oops. Went back. Next one is the use of active versus passive voice. Uh, in the sentences, you want to use active voice when it emphasize the doer of the action, like a famous researcher or yourself, anyone of importance that were doing it. And passive voice, it focuses on the actions or the result, the say research. So use passive active voice for clarity and directness. You have to use it when you're direct. And the passive voice, you need to use it when the doer is less important or unknown. For example, here there's one, the researcher conducted the experiment, and the passive one is the experiment was conducted by the researcher. Next one is nominalization. So here it occurs when a verb or an adjective is turned into a noun. This often results in sentences that are longer, more complex, and less direct. It makes it less clear and less engaging for the reader. And when you read it, like there was a discussion of the topic, the discussion has been turned into a noun, and the sentence is longer and less direct because there was a discussion of this topic. If you see that, it's like, what do you mean by that? About this topic? Why? Why do you say it like that? People would read it like that. And the improved one is just we discuss the topic because the use of verb discussed, it's dialect, it's shorter, more straightforward, and easier to understand. So the next one, significance of correct spelling. It's important to have a correct spelling because it makes your writing more credible. Mistakes can distract the reader and convey carelessness. So you need to use proofreading tools and dictionaries to avoid errors. The accurate spelling is a crucial aspect of effective academic writing, and a lot of spell checkers don't alert the writer of spelling errors if you spell the word correctly. For example, there is a there and there. It's similar but different meaning. So you have to check it. Next one, complete sentences. Here, the explanation is simple. So you use complete sentences to express complete thoughts, which is important because it's a scientific research and they enhance clarity and comprehension. Fragments and run-ons should be avoided, as always, which we will discuss on the next slide. And for guidance, you have to use every sentence has to have a subject and a predicate. You have to use punctuation to separate those ideas and review your writing for sentence completeness during editing. Academic writing thrives on the use of complete sentences. For example, here it's the incomplete one. It's despite the challenges. What do you mean by that? The complete one, it should be despite the challenges, the research team persevered. It makes it clear. Next one is avoiding sentence fragment. Incomplete thoughts lacking a subject, predicate, or both, they hinder reader comprehension and can create confusion. These proper sentences are essential for conveying complete ideas. For example, here's a fragment. Although highly skilled in his field, it doesn't mean anything because it just doesn't make sense. And if you want to complete it, you can add the researcher faced challenges, which makes it easier or a better make you comprehend about this. Next, comma splices. It appears when two independent clauses are incorrectly joined by a comma. It's gonna make it really confusing, and it's considered a grammatical error in formal writing. So, for example, here the experiment was successful. The team was pleased with the result. The corrected one should be the experiment was successful and the team was pleased with the result. You have to add a word in the middle to make it connected with each sentence. So next, organizing your writing into paragraphs. Of course, it's important. You cannot write a paper just with sentences. You have to add paragraphs, which means you provide logical structure. They break down complex topics into manageable sections and then well-organized paragraph. It will give your reader easier comprehension and it gives you your paper readability, better readability. Next one is topic sentences serve as the backbone of effective academic writing. So introduce your main idea on each paragraph and they provide a clear focus for the reader. So it just makes your paragraphs a lot better and more clear. Next one is paraphrasing. An important skill to have, presenting information in your own word while maintaining the original meaning. So in explanation, paraphrasing demonstrates your understanding of the source material. It helps avoid plagiarism by crediting the original source. And the paraphrased content should be as clear and concise as the original. So thank you for listening to my presentation about scientific writing. And goodbye.